When my wife, Alina, told me she'd be having dinner with a coworker named Ryan, I didn't think much of it at first. She said it was about a project they were working on, something about a client presentation. But lately, she'd been distant, checking her phone too often, smiling at texts, and leaving the room to take calls. My instincts whispered something wasn't right. Still, I didn't confront her. Not yet. That night, I waited for her to come home. She had promised she'd be back by 9, but the clock hit 10, then 11. I called once, no answer. My mind raced through every possible excuse she could give. But deep down, I already knew. When she finally returned around midnight, she smelled faintly of cologne that wasn't mine. She smiled nervously and said, "Dinner ran long." I just nodded, pretending to believe her. The next few days, I watched her more closely. She became careful, too careful. Her phone stayed face down, and she started leaving earlier for work. So I decided to find out the truth. I installed a simple app on her phone that synced her messages to my email. 2 nights later, the truth came like a punch to the chest. She and Ryan weren't talking about work. They were planning dinners and late-night drives. I didn't explode. I didn't even confront her. Instead, I planned quietly. Her boss, Ms. Clara, was a confident, elegant woman who had always respected my work. I met her once at a company dinner. She was sharp, honest, and clearly unimpressed by Ryan. The next day, I requested a meeting with her, under the pretense of discussing Alina's project. When we met, I showed her a few screenshots of the messages. She wasn't surprised. She told me Ryan had a reputation, and Alina was just another name on his list. Clara wasn't one to tolerate betrayal, especially within her team. But she also looked at me with a kind of calm anger, saying, "You don't deserve this." We talked for hours, about trust, betrayal, and how people often forget who stood by them when they were struggling. Over the next few weeks, Clara and I became unexpectedly close. She wasn't just my wife's boss anymore. She became someone I respected deeply. She helped me see things clearly, not through anger but through understanding. When Alina started suspecting something, she became uneasy. She could sense I was distant, but she had no idea why. Then came the day of her downfall. Alina told me she was going out again with Ryan and a few others from work. I simply smiled and said, "Enjoy your dinner." What she didn't know was that Clara had already confronted Ryan earlier that day and suspended him for misconduct. Their dinner was about to turn awkward. When she returned home later that evening, her confident expression vanished instantly. Because sitting in our living room, sipping tea, was Clara. My arm was casually resting on the back of the couch behind her, and we were laughing at something she'd just said. The shock on Alina's face was unforgettable. She froze at the doorway, clutching her purse like it was her only lifeline. "Alina," Clara said calmly, setting her cup down, "I thought you'd be with Ryan tonight. But I guess he's not available anymore." My wife's lips parted, but no words came out. She looked from her boss to me, realizing the situation she was in. I didn't need to say anything. My silence said it all. Finally, she stammered, Why is she here?" I looked at her and replied, "I figured it was time you met the kind of people who don't hide behind lies." Clara stood up and gave me a respectful nod before leaving. The message was clear. She was done with Alina professionally, and I was done with her personally. That night, Alina tried to apologize. She cried, saying it was a mistake, that she didn't mean to hurt me. But I had no anger left, only emptiness. "You didn't just make a mistake," I said quietly. "You made a choice." And I meant every word. The following week, I filed for separation. Clara, surprisingly, offered me a role in her firm as a consultant. She said she admired how I handled everything, with patience instead of fury. Life felt strange, starting over, but it also felt clean. Months passed, and I never heard from Alina again. Sometimes I wondered if she ever thought about that night, when her lies finally collapsed in front of the one person she couldn't deceive, her boss. But I didn't dwell on it. My revenge wasn't loud or cruel. It was simple, letting the truth destroy her world while I quietly rebuilt mine. In the end, she came back from dinner, expecting to hide her betrayal. Instead, she walked into a room that showed her exactly what betrayal looked like, reflected back at her in silence and calm revenge.